Away, away. Yes, sir. I know what's going on, man. It's your boy, OK Bet, aka K Trades, man. Y'all know we had to catch another 100% banger. You know, we always do. We stay catching bangers. But what's poppin', man? How y'all doing? How y'all doing on this beautiful Tuesday, man? Nice little gap up, all-time highs. Y'all know. So Bears got cooked yet again, right? I keep telling y'all, stop fighting the trend. So basically, yeah, game plan went smooth. Holding off on, buying in too early because you got to wait for price action to play out. So basically, what we did, right? We sold our calls, at open as soon as they opened up. We got up out of those real quick, right? Started to push, cool, right? Waited for that. I actually did catch a little scalp off the bottom, but it was like I said, it's a quick little, nothing too crazy. Bought that off the 650 basically level. Took profit, pre-market high, waited. Tried to buy some calls at the low. I'm not gonna lie, we tried the first time, but then I was like, yeah, if it close below low, like I'm not even gonna risk it, right? Because when you already up, you don't want to really just be taking risk after risk after risk after risk, putting money back into the casino. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that, bro. So I'm like, man, yeah, whatever. Bro, I'm out at lunch, so I'm like, forget it. And we, like I always tell y'all, you can always get back in. You don't have to spam zeros every single day. And if you do, and if they don't work, just cut them. You know what I'm saying? It's that simple. Just cut them. You can always get back into play. You're never truly going to miss it, right? So that's basically what happened. We waited. End of day, we finally got this, right shoulder for our little, little mini inverse head and shoulder right here. Let's change the color on this. Right quick. Bang, there we go. All right, little inverse head and shoulder, not too crazy, little neckline. So we had, some calls go end of the day. It absolutely went crazy, little 750. So those held, right, came up to our target, and then that's pretty much it, man. So not really much going on, to be honest. But yeah, let's get into the main part, right? The game plan. What do we do? What's going on, man? What's the vibe? All right, first things first, right? I want to zoom out, right? I want to show y'all a very, very, very zoomed out level. Bro, every time I get ready to come film, my phone's about to die. I gotta start charging my phone, bro. But anyway, cool. Let's look out. Zoom out. Zoom. Let's move this over. There we go. All right, and look where we are. Right, we're pretty up there, right? I hate calling tops, or I hate saying this is the top, but we are pretty close to this trend line, right? This multi-year trend line that we've been talking about for a while, right? We're pretty close to it. Obviously, we can basically do what we did last time. We can break out, retest, continue. But you want to just be very careful going into this, right? So basically the same way you played today, right? You want to have a lot of patience going into these upper levels because we have, it's uncharted territory, I guess you could call it, right? We don't really have levels. I guess you could use fib extensions. I got a few charts with some fib extensions on there, like on some just in case if we do go up. But the downside is going to be a lot easier to trade than the upside. So you're going to have to wait a lot more, to decide, hey, calls look good right here, right? So basically, let's say we gap up. All right, let's say we gap up. Right now we are at 750.45. So we basically close right at 750, right? A little 750, nothing too crazy. Nice, easy number. So anything that holds, right? Previous day's low. Well, I guess it'd be today now, but previous day's low, previous day's close, right? Anything that holds this, let's say we gap up, or even if we gap down, right? Even if we do gap down and we reclaim previous day's close, right? You got to watch for previous day's high and then blue sky territory, right? Like I said, this is a bull trend. We don't know how high this thing can go. It can just keep going. We won't really know until it starts to pull back, right? So upside, like I said, is a little bit more difficult because, it could either hold the low, hold the close, go. We could fill the gap and go. We have a lower gap and go. So that's the upside is kind of it's a little bit more difficult to trade, right? Not to say that we can't have a plan, but it'll be easier to trade once we get some pre-market levels, right? Basically kind of like today, right? Pre-market levels gave us the entire range. Boom, right? Let me zoom in some because I know this video is be small, right? First candle of the day, bang, bang. That's literally all you had to do, right? Look how easy that was. Boom, rejected. So when we came down, once we started to pop off that 750, took that profit, right? I didn't play puts, right? I should have, but I didn't play puts. But it literally came right down to the range. And I gave y'all the exact level. I said, hey, SPY has the lower bottom of the range is 748.69. So it probably won't close outside of that range, right? We'll close either above it or right in the middle of it. And literally look where we close. Smack in the middle, right? Because a lot of times they like to trap both sides. Like if it's one of those days that's not really trendy, then that means it's gonna be a chop day, right? If it's not a trend up or trend down, if it's just y'all know the price action. So when you get them kind of price action, you got to kind of be like, all right, I'm gonna just take my hands off, or take some time off and go do stuff. Go touch grass, go here, go do that. Go run some errands. That way, you're not too just hyper focused on these charts, because if you do, you'll start to tell yourself things that's not true. You'll start to reason for why you should stay in the trade, and most times it's just easier. Like I said, just get out. Or buy time. Time is always so much easier. Like if you just bought down here, right, and then you just kind of, I'm gonna say keep buying down here, but if you bought down here initially and then you kind of had to wait. Once we got back above, you probably could add it. What I'm saying? Depending on how you like to play, buy some more time, and then catch a little move. But yeah, upside is going to be very, very hard to play. Well, okay, I'll take that back. I'm not gonna say very hard to play, but it's like I said, it's going to take a lot more time. So if we do gap up, that'll be a very nice key, right? But if we do cap up inside of this range, you got to kind of be careful. You want to break the range, right? Break that high from it today, right? Hold that, and then like I said, I got some fib extensions, right? We maybe can use 744.50. Somewhere in that area, or even higher. Like I said, 756, 750. What is this? Yeah, 756. So yeah, upside. Like I said, it's one of those ones you just kind of have to. You got to let it play out first, right? We can't get upper levels without some sort of or upper level entries without some sort of pullback, right? So you don't want to buy into the push. You want to be trimming into the push, right? You want to be selling. If you swung more calls, like we swung calls over the weekend. If you have Friday's calls and you're still holding them, you want to take some profit off into this push, because you don't know at any point it could be the quote unquote top, right? Especially with all people calling, oh, this is the top. Like we don't know. We have no clue, right? No one can accurately tell you the top of the market, right? Because like I said, this is a bull market. It can remain pushing, right? Even if we hit this quote unquote trend line top that I have, like let's say we hit it, right? And then we hit it again, and we hit it again. And we hit, what I'm saying? Like we could just continually go up all the way until 800. Like I don't know, or we could break out, retest. What I'm saying? So upper level is gonna be a little harder. Now downside, so much easier, man. Because we already have lower levels, right? So first things first. Remember, like I said, watch that previous day's close, previous day's low, right? Even if we gap up, if we get back below that previous day's close and we lose that 750 and we start to lose previous day's lows would be obviously your first target. But if we lose that, right, we have this whole gap to fill from Friday, which goes all the way down to 745.60. So if we do go that low, like I said, you could play the gap for reversal. It might be easier, right? If we come down here, start to hold, you could pay the gap for reversal, or we still have the gap below that. We have Thursday's gap, and that comes all the way down to one of our major levels, 742. So if we go that low, like I said, it'll be easier to buy calls at lower levels versus trying to, buy calls all the way up here at highs. Like I did swing calls to me, what I'm saying? I did swing calls, so like I said, I'm just going to be trimming into this if we do get the move, but I do look forward to playing some sort of puts eventually. Y'all know I've been telling y'all, hey, I'm kind of cool in the puts. I'll scalp them, but I'll be looking for like an actual put position if we actually do start to, quote unquote, double top, I guess you could say. Like if we do lose that whole, 747, 750 area, right? If we do lose that, then, I'll be looking for, like I said, those pullbacks. So if we do lose both gaps, right? Let's say we fill both gaps and we just don't bounce, right? And we start to lose 742. Then you got to watch for 740, back all the way down to 737 again, and then 735. Now, absolute low, I'd say 731, right? Because that's the previous 2 weeks low. So last week's low and the week before that, major support is 731. So any loss of 731, okay, now you would be like, all right, now this is a true quote unquote double top, right? You would have to remember, double tops aren't just this. This isn't a double top. Right? You could say a double top is starting to form, possibly, right? You can say, hey, this looks somewhat of a double top, but a double top will have to break the neckline, right? You would have to get some sort of, like I said, right here, right down here. So you see we have the bang, bang. I see why people are like, oh, double top, but you see that got a lot of people last week, right? If it's so obvious, then it's probably not going to play out. The same thing happened with that head and shoulders, right? Remember this head and shoulders over here? Easy, bang, bang, bang. And then everybody was like, oh, right shoulder. And then it gave y'all, the double middle finger. So, you don't want to get too confident in the downside either, you know what I'm saying? But it's just like I said, either way it goes, you're going to have to be patient, right? We have gaps to fill below, which I would prefer to fill, right? Like this could be a flat week. They could sell it, pop it, and close flat. You know what I'm saying? We don't really know how it's going to close out just yet. It's just Tuesday, right? It's just day one of the week. So, yeah, be careful going into the week, man. But like I said, ain't nothing to fear. You know what I'm saying? I always tell y'all. Nothing to be scared of. Like, even if we keep trading at all-time highs, it's nothing to be scared of because you will still eventually get an entry, right? Even if we gap up and just absolutely just rip. There'll be pullbacks, you know what I'm saying? You'll wait for a pullback. So you don't want to just, oh, FOMO, I'm missing, right? Because you know how FOMO works. As soon as you start to be like, oh, man, I need it. Then, you know, the market's going to need your bread quickly, so expeditiously. So like I said, man, just be careful. You know, gap up obviously would be the first sign, right? A little gap fill close, break above previous day's high, and then we'll target that 754, 755-ish level, right? Anything below that, previous day's low, bang, fill the gap. Either we do get the gap fill reversal, right, back up, or they want to just go ahead and knock out both gaps real quick. Mop. So anything above, like I said, if we do go down to that 742, I will for sure be looking to buy that down there. Even if we do go lower, right, initially we should pop, right, because we had this huge, all the buyers left in here, and then all the buyers left in here. So if we did come down that far without popping, I'd be very confident in that. So, yeah, like I said, well, you know, and I'll go live too probably tomorrow. So give me a second, right? Let me breathe. Y'all know I'm on vacation, so. Yeah, I know y'all been asking, oh, you going live today? You going live today? Give me a second, man. Give me a second. Let me enjoy myself, man, in Miami. I love it out here. So, yeah, like I said, be very careful. Obviously, watch the main level, 750. It'll be an easy, just flat number, right? Easy, flat number, 750 to 748, right? Give yourself at least a little $2 zone because you can have something like today. Remember how I talked about when it comes to bottoming, it takes time. So, because we never went lower, right, and we started to make higher floors, okay, cool, right? We got the low, and we got a high. Okay, cool, we got a low, and then bang, we got a high again, and then we got the higher low. So towards the end of the day, you're like, all right, cool. They already gave us a little inverse head and shoulder. So, right, go ahead and take some calls. So like I said, you know, even though we opened an all-time high, we still were able to get a position. So same thing's going to apply tomorrow. So just be patient with it, and yeah, lock in. Don't do too much. I will be on y'all. So I'm gonna ask how y'all went to how y'all did. So, but if you did swing calls as well, drop some in the comments below. Let me know how you did, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Got to put in these slips for the game tonight. If OKC lose, bro, if this is a blowout, I swear I'm so tired of blowouts in NBA. It's all rigged. It's all cooked. This is what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn half of this into a trading channel. Other half is gonna be sports betting. So yeah, we're taking Devin Vassell over 4.5 rebounds today. We're taking shot SGA assist, and we're taking J-Dub. If he plays, we'll take him too. So I had to give y'all a little 3-pick slip real quick. Even if these swings don't hit, we're gonna hit on something, as we always do. So I'll see y'all. Y'all be easy, man. Stay safe.